Now, as we all know, every season, we always have NBA players retire. Some players were at one point one of the most popular players in the league, and it is not easy having to say goodbye to them. Most NBA players retire would make sense due to aging or having an injury, and it's understandable. But then there are the other NBA players, who when they announced their retirement from the league, it was pretty surprising to say the least. How is everybody doing today? It's Portola back with another video, and today we're going to talk about NBA players and how some of their retirements were pretty surprising. Let's not waste any time, and let's get straight into it. Starting off with a man who retired from the league at a pretty young age. His name is Darren Collison. Darren Collison's NBA career really consisted a decent number of points and a good number of assists. He was known as a pretty average point guard in the league. After his 10th year in the NBA and starting in 76 games, Darren Collison made a decision that seriously confused the NBA world at first. On June 28, 2019, Darren Collison announced his retirement from the NBA. Collison was just 31 years old at the time and was making $10 million a year. So, why retire so soon? Well, Collison mentioned that he retired due to religious reasons. He mentioned that he is a Jehovah's Witness and wanted to focus on faith. The next season, though, rumors started to spread where Darren Collison was going to return to the NBA and sign with the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers having Collison on their team wouldn't be so bad. But did that ever happen? No. Collison still hasn't signed with the team to this day, and we are not sure if he ever will. He is now 33 years old, and the older you get, the harder it gets signing with the team. We will see if Collison could potentially make a return to the NBA or not. Now, this next NBA player was having such a successful NBA career, but due to severe injuries, he wasn't able to finish off his career at the age he probably wanted to. His name is Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas was such a beast when he was in the league that people were actually convinced he was the best player in the NBA. In Thomas's first year in the league, he was already an all-star. Then for the next 11 years, he remained an all-star. Thomas was the type of player who would average around 20 points and 8 assists a game. There was one season that he actually averaged 14 assists per game. And if that wasn't enough, Thomas was a pickpocket god. In other words, he was great at stealing the ball. Thomas averaged 2 steals in his NBA career, and that's pretty good for a point guard. So, how is it that Isaiah Thomas was having such a successful career, but had to retire at such a young age? Well, he dealt with some serious injuries. In the year 1993 to 1994, he only played in 58 games after playing 79 games the previous year. Those injuries were mainly Achilles and ankle injuries. And we already know how serious Achilles injuries are. And ankle injuries aren't as bad as an Achilles injury, but some are more serious than others. And sadly, in 1994, after such an incredible career, Isaiah Thomas would call it quits and announce his retirement from the league. Luckily, it wouldn't take long until Thomas returned to the game of basketball. In the year 2000, Thomas became the head coach of the Indiana Pacers. Thomas's coaching career lasted 12 years, but after 2012, Thomas wouldn't become a coach again for any team. What really sucks about Thomas retiring early was that if he never suffered those injuries, he probably would have achieved more milestones. He was on the track to reaching 20,000 career points, 2,000 career steals, and 10,000 career assists. But sadly, that wasn't the case. Next up on the list now is yet another NBA player who was having an incredible career, and that is Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson is probably one of the most iconic names in sports. Johnson already had one huge advantage over other point guards. The man was 6'9". This guy was as tall as a small forward. Magic Johnson averaged well over 20 points and 10 assists per game in his NBA career. And for rebounds, he almost had 10 in one season. He was normally averaging around 6 to 8 boards a game. Johnson's career was like Thomas's, highly successful, maybe even more successful. But the difference between Thomas's issue and Johnson's was that Magic Johnson had an illness. You see, back in November of 1991, Johnson was diagnosed with HIV. This news came out of nowhere, and Johnson had to retire immediately after he found out about this. But it wouldn't take long until Johnson returned to the NBA. He would make a return after a few years. He didn't play an NBA game from 1991 until 1995. He ended up returning to the Lakers at the age of 36 for just one more season. He played in 32 games and wasn't great. After that, Johnson would once again announce his retirement, but this time it was permanent. It would have been more interesting seeing what Johnson could have done in those 4 years he missed. Finishing it off with the man, the myth, the ghost, Michael Jordan. Jordan was by far the best player in his generation, and is, in my opinion, the best player to have ever touched a basketball. This guy was just so dominant, and not just during the regular season, but during the playoffs, he was a nightmare. His attitude was also entertaining. He trash-talked some of the biggest trash talkers in the league and embarrassed plenty of players with his vicious moves. Now, Michael Jordan retired 3 times in his NBA career. Why don't we take a look at all of them? The first occurred back in 1993. Michael Jordan's reason of retiring that season was actually due to a tragic loss in his family. His father, James Jordan Sr., was shot in his car while sleeping. So Michael Jordan decided to follow his father's footsteps. He played minor league baseball for the Birmingham Barons. It was very tragic when we heard the passing of Jordan's father. Jordan would return to the NBA the next season and wore number 45 to honor his father. 3 years later, Jordan would retire once again. Jordan was apparently really out of shape when he returned to the NBA. He also retired because he believed the Bulls could have done more and get him his 7th ring. So he retired once again. Another 3 years would pass, and he returned to the NBA playing for the Washington Wizards. He played with them for 2 years and would permanently retire from the league. Jordan ended up having a 15-year career in the NBA, and those 15 years were the best basketball you could ever watch. That is going to be it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you're new to the channel, consider leaving a like and subscribing. I would really appreciate that. We're on the road to 600 subscribers. Also, let me know down in the comments if I missed anybody. I'd love to see what you guys say. I'll see you all in the next video. I'm out.